But the size, when I came to boxing gym and my coach told me that one of the rules, it's like respect the weight classes, You should respect weight classes. But he has a very good skill. He's one of my favorite fighters, active fighters.
That's not easy for Crawford. I mean, it's Canelo has the big advantage, but Crawford needs to manage well his body, his speed, and his power, because he's moving up to another level of weight.
I asked this.
Bivol told Canelo what Crawford was going to do to put him to sleep after training with Crawford. Canelo Alvarez used to look unbeatable at 168 pounds, but now he's facing a version of Terence Crawford made by the person who beat him before. Bivol has made it clear that the key is not just power, but also being able to adjust. Crawford doesn't think he can beat Canelo physically. Instead, he wants to use Canelo's energy at 168 pounds against him.
I feel I got the speed over Canelo. I got the reach over him. He might got the size, the power. I got the better skills, boxing skills.
Would it be more of a cat and mouse? The reality is Canelo does put people out. From Kirkland to Amir Khan to just...
Bivol says it all starts with getting your mind ready. He warned that without proper psychological conditioning, fighters become soft under pressure. That wasn't just general advice. It was a jab at Canelo's recent success by expecting his opponents to give up, which Crawford doesn't do. In fact, he does best when things are crazy. That's why Bivol believes that with the right training, Crawford will not only withstand Canelo's power, but will also find ways to weary him mentally through unpredictability and speed adjustments.
I'm not going in there looking to knock Canelo out. Could it happen? Yes, absolutely. When I look at Canelo, he's a smaller, bigger guy moving up in divisions. Being that these big guys is slower, so they might catch him with something, but he might see it at the last moment.
The most recent fights Canelo has put on tell their own story. He dominated Charlo not because of his superior skill, but because Charlo looked to be a warrior who did not belong in the ring with him. Callum Smith suffered a similar fate. Bivol is unimpressed. He sees Canelo's victories as proof of the division's weakness rather than his strength. He says Crawford is different because Crawford has never lost his mind during a fight. When Bivol labels Canelo inconsistent, he is challenging the basic concept of Canelo's brilliance, and he has now armed Crawford with the facts to deconstruct that narrative once more.
On the streets, you and Canelo, what would it look like?
Come on, man. Y'all know what I do. I ain't got to talk about it. On the streets, I'm me against anybody. I ain't never gonna say another man gonna whoop me. So, that's your answer right there.
I guess in Guadalajara, you think it'd be a little different on the streets if Terence came to town?
I think every city, every place is different, no? It's different. But we don't talking about the streets. We're talking about boxing.
Crawford, for his part, has embraced the idea of being the underdog. That could be the most hazardous part for Canelo. Crawford isn't pretending he's naturally large enough for the division, and he's not saying Canelo hasn't seen bigger hits. But what he's really saying is that power is all about time. He's not trying to walk Canelo down like Bivol. He's attempting to bait him, annoy him, and then hurt him. Crawford's experience shows that he adapts in the middle of a fight and does not throw volume mindlessly. He waits, lays traps, and then detonates them against Canelo. That attitude may be more important than size or strength. And with Bivol in his corner, Crawford isn't just going on instinct. He's learning exact techniques from the last man to make Canelo look average.
The only running that I'm gonna be doing is running upside his head, and I can assure you that. Facts. And he got a big head too.
Crawford has made clear that he plans to take some shots. Crawford knows that Canelo will not crumble with the first clean blow, but he intends to break him down rather than knock him out with a single punch. Crawford's statement, "He's got to take my punches too," was more than just a threat. It was a reminder that Canelo is fighting someone who does not fear being hit, who thinks he hits just as hard when it counts. Crawford may not be a well-known knockout artist at higher weights, but he's accurate and ruthless in his finish. What he lacks in raw physicality, he amends for with timing and spite. Canelo has fought punchers, but he hasn't met a technician with malicious intent 10 years.
If the ring is standard size, I think Bud beats his ass all around the ring for 12 rounds. If Canelo want to come forward and get the whooping, that's what he gonna get. But that's the thing. In that last Skull fight, he didn't want to take the fight to Skull. So if Canelo don't come to fight, I don't want to see Crawford stand in the middle of the ring and take that type of risk. Because Crawford, you talk about retirement, but he can still go on after this. So he ain't got to take that punishment. He can run it back with him. I don't want Crawford forced into a dog fight with Canelo. No, I think he gonna whoop his ass off 12 rounds.
Crawford's punch selection may be more dangerous than raw force. Bivol beat Canelo not by beating him, but by never allowing him to breathe. He took clean, precise scoring shots and then circled away. Crawford's method may be even more unpleasant because he alters postures and coerces fighters into making poor judgments. If he takes Bivol's counsel and stays mentally locked in, Canelo may end up looking flat again. That alone might change the result, but Crawford is also ready to bet late. If Canelo is injured, exhausted, or frustrated by the 9th or 10th round, Crawford will not sit back. He will push, test that body, search for swelling, and exploit injuries like he normally does.
If you beat Terence Crawford in this fight, or is it on the line the greatest champion in the history of Mexico? Is that on the line in this fight?
Well, I don't know. Let's see when I retire where I'm gonna be in the list, but for sure I will beat Terence Crawford.
Another layer of controversy surrounds Crawford's training plan. His admission that he wasn't training hard from the start aroused eyebrows. He told Tom Brady that he wasn't really working. On the surface, it seems dangerous, but Crawford's reasoning is sound. He's saving his best for fight night in an era where fighters enjoy the unending grind and sleepless nights in the gym. Crawford is going for speed. That's a risky method, especially against a physically demanding opponent like Canelo, that overtraining can destroy careers. Crawford is treating the camp as a marathon, not a sprint. He is saving psychological fire for when it is most needed.
You think the KO bonus is? Because it's like, how much money is going to entice Crawford to take this chance?
I don't think any money is going to entice Crawford to take this chance. I think Crawford's going to stick to a game plan and just beat him. Canelo, I think, has to win by knockout anyway. I think Crawford doesn't care whether he wins by knockout or decision. Question is, can Crawford get a decision? At this point, he probably can. You know, there's nobody really. I think Canelo's popularity is kind of waning anyway. So, I mean, I don't think Crawford's going to put himself out there just to get a KO bonus. I think Crawford's going to stick to a game plan. He's very, very disciplined in his demeanor to stay disciplined and be disciplined. I think that's what the way he's going to fight.
The problem is that naysayers will charge Crawford of arrogance, disdain for Canelo, and a lack of understanding of what 168 pounds truly means until he faces a monster. Crawford's serenity, however, is not based on conceit. Rather, it is based on a clear knowledge of himself. This is not a youthful challenger looking for validation. This is a 41-0 fighter who has made a practice of proving doubters wrong. His confidence stems from the fact that he has always performed under pressure. That is why he is not looking for catchweight clauses. He is not looking for protection, rehydration limits, or rematch clauses. He wants Canelo at full strength, not just to beat him, but to eliminate all excuses.
I think Crawford is special. I know he hasn't fought the resume everyone wants, but you have that or you don't have that ingredient. I think he has it. Canelo's really good. He's tremendous. But could he be a tiny bit overrated? The greatness is within Crawford. It's in his desire. It's in his mind. It's in his makeup, where he came from. I know
some fans rate the apparent relaxation as mind games. Crawford might be trying to make Canelo question his own urgency. If Crawford isn't worried, why should Canelo be? However, if Crawford arrives unprepared and thinks Bivol's blueprint is sufficient, he may be surprised. That is what distinguishes this battle from a simple contest of skills. It is a test of ego versus calculation. Bivol believes in Crawford, but warns that if Crawford loses focus even little, the mental part will suffer. Canelo can profit. Canelo is not deteriorating physically. He is simply being tested differently today.
Later, and he still got that kind of steam, but you know, there's so many components that make a champion. There's so many components that make a great, a legend. It's just so much to go into. It's a conversation that lasts an hour easily when we talk about all of the components that Terrence Crawford has, all of the components that Canelo have, and how we find how they even.
After weeks of silence, Oscar de la Hoya finally confirmed what many boxing fans had been thinking but did not dare to say. According to him, the Canelo Alvarez vs. Terrence Crawford promotion has been a disaster. The lack of tension, the forced camaraderie, and the picture of both fighters dining with turkey alalshik were enough for de la Hoya to accuse the entire event of being sanitized, soft, and, frankly, boring. His contrast was blunt. Could anyone imagine Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier sharing a meal before their fights? Could you imagine Mike Tyson and Mitch Green sharing a calm breakfast before brawling in the street? De la Hoya's diatribe was not about nostalgia, but about the spirit of boxing business. He thinks that the sport need friction to sell, not a dinner party.
Are you still favoring Crawford in the fight, or has your opinion changed?
No. I mean, I've always favoured Canelo in the fight.
Well, I've heard that you want Canelo to win, but you feel...
Of course, yeah. I like Terrence. I've worked a lot with Canelo, and I think just because of what I saw in Riyadh and because of the threat, and he's getting...
His rage did not end there. He directly chastised Crawford, claiming that if he truly wanted to get under Canelo's skin, all he had to do was bring up the tainted meat story. It was an open shot. De la Hoya thinks Crawford missed. Instead of generating heat, they traded smiles. And then there's Dana White. De la Hoya mocked White's dodge when asked if he would attend this fight or another UFC show on the same day. Dana chose insults over solutions, calling De la Hoya scumbag, to which Oscar replied with a remark about affliction quotes. This enmity is not new, but De la Hoya's use of it to show the promotional disparities between Canelo and Crawford struck a chord. The fight may be a technical masterpiece, but De la Hoya thinks it lacks emotional intensity.
Now, what the media is reporting, and it's circulating, is that Canelo Crawford is the biggest fight of the decade. I mean, to a purist and a fighter, it's laughable. Because you have Crawford jumping up 2 weight classes to fight Canelo, who's a natural light heavyweight. Crawford, who couldn't push back Madrimov.
Tim Bradley took the discussion in a different way. He focused on Terrence Crawford's motivation rather than the dinner photo or the lack of drama. Bradley thinks that this fight is about more than just money. It is also about respect. He says Crawford stepped up to 168 because boxing fans refused to acknowledge him for defeating Errol Spence Jr. and Sean Porter. Bradley thought Spence was damaged goods following his automobile accident, while Porter was past his prime. Crawford's timing may have been ideal for stacking wins, but it went against him in terms of legacy. So he's doing something ridiculous. He's going from welterweight to super middleweight without a tune-up, catch weight, or rehydration clause straight into the deep end. Bradley claims Crawford is unwilling to give anyone the chance to make excuses. If he defeats Canelo, he wants it to be as clean as possible.
If Canelo couldn't knock out Charlo, or you really think that he's gonna knock out Crawford? I would pick Terrence Crawford to beat a Canelo Alvarez, even at 168. Everybody can call me crazy and whatever you want to say. I get it. Y'all didn't believe me when I told you about Spence, but trust me, Crawford will figure out a way. I know a secret y'all don't know, and I ain't gonna tell you why I would pick Terrence Crawford, but it's part of the secret is the reason why I'm picking him.
Crawford has recognized the risk. He knows that even if he wins on September 13th, people will say Canelo was washed, that he was not the same guy who defeated Gennady Golovkin years ago, and that Crawford caught him at the right time. It's the same thing they did following the Spence fight. Crawford dominated the bout from start to finish, but instead of plaudits, he got caveats. Fans attack Spence's inactivity, and sluggishness. Crawford believes that the same thing will happen again. Canelo will be defeated, and people will try to explain why.
I've always said this is going to be a massive fight. Regardless of what the haters want to say or whatnot, this was going to be massive. But I feel like yesterday, after that press conference, I feel like now we universally agree that this is a mega fight. That Canelo versus Bud Crawford is going to be one of the biggest fights of this decade. This is not just a fight that boxing fans will be excited for. This has now become a fight that the boxing fans and the casual fans and
he's probably right. Canelo's performance against William Skull did not help. He looked slower, his movement was sloppy, and he delivered single punches rather than combinations. His timing seems off, the fall may not be rapid, but it is obvious, and Crawford is not in his physical prime either. Last August, he didn't look very sharp versus Israel Madrimov. There was hesitation, rust, and his productivity was below standards. That battle did not scream pound for pound #1, so if both fighters are showing symptoms of aging, is the victory even meaningful to fans anymore? Crawford doesn't appear to care. He's constantly stated that people will always find something. If it is not Spence's accident, it will be Canelo's age. And if it is not Canelo's age, it will be the weight difference. Crawford says that no matter what he does, the media and supporters will continue to change the goalposts. His aim is not to placate detractors, it's to win fights and receive huge payouts. According to reports, he'll make at least $50 million for the Netflix broadcast of the Canelo fight, which is 5 times what he made for Madrimov, and the Saudis are writing those checks if Turki Al-Sheikh continues to pay Crawford, who may not go anywhere. But there's a catch. If Crawford wins, but the fight flops or he appears dull, Al-Sheikh may stop caring, and the money will vanish. Crawford knows that one lethargic battle against a fading icon is insufficient to launch a career. To keep the Saudis interested, he'll have to fight big names, which is where things get dangerous. Crawford can only cash in on guys like Israel Madrimov or Edgar Berlanga for so long. Eventually, he'll have to face David Benavides, Dmitry Bivol, or Artur Beterbiev, but that's another story. Crawford is slick, but other guys are younger, larger, and more aggressive. There is no guarantee Crawford will beat any of them.
Happens when he takes a shot from Canelo. One of those uppercuts from Gia or those...
He could get dropped, or he feels it enough to be like, fuck this, I'm boxing. And goes on the bicycle and turns southpaw for the rest of the night. And I wouldn't blame him either. Fuck it, you're gonna go in there and collect the fucking paycheck at that point.
Right.
You're not gonna go get hurt.
Right.
What good is it to get fucking 20, 30 million if you are fucking hurt physically, end up in the hospital and hurt just physically, life-changing, you don't want that shit.
Bradley also made an excellent point. If Crawford continues to win, people will finally demand a fight with Benavides, Bivol, or Beterbiev. If he continues to be paid, he will have to earn it against killers. Easy checks are only temporary. The Saudi backers will finally demand blood, and if Crawford declines or quits early, people will accuse him of ducking. If he fights and loses, people will say he was never very good. It's a no-win situation until he wins everything. And even then, there's no guarantee he'll receive his flowers.
Canelo and Bud. Who you like in this fight?
Canelo.
Why? Because Bud had to move up 3 classes?
Yes. And in the history of boxing, I've never seen anybody move up 2 classes and be successful.
Well, Roy did.
I mean, but not in one jump, not in one leap.
Right, you're right.
It was a here, right. Light, heavyweight, fight a few fights, right. Okay, heavyweight. We talking about he just fought 147 one fight ago.
Right.
And then you gonna fight at 168?
Yeah. Did he fight his last fight at 50?
When asked if he wants to retire after this fight, Crawford responded, "It depends." He did not rule out staying if the money was good. That is the true reason, not legacy, nor belts, nor the famous 50-0 Mayweather record. Crawford is seeking paydays, not numbers. He stated clearly that he will not fight every 6 months to catch Foy. He is not even interested. He will fight once a year if the agreement is good. That's the current business model. Come up, cash in, and then vanish until next year.
I call Canelo out because, like I said, he the last great fighter amongst the era that surpassed us. You know, the Floyd, the Pacquiao, the De La Hoya. We both came up in that era, and he was right there with those fighters, and he got the chance to fight the Miguel Cottos, the Floyd Mayweathers, and the Kovalevs and Triple G's, and I wasn't able to get those mega fights. So this is my mega fight. This is my.
The problem with that model is that it only works if the fights count. Crawford can't keep showing up for glorified exhibitions. He can't keep facing guys on the wrong side of 35. Eventually fans and media will turn. That's the risk he's running. He can beat Canelo and still lose momentum. He can win on points and still lose to the public because beating a slow version of Canelo won't move the needle the way Crawford wants, not unless it's dominant or severe. This is my moment, which is why De La Hoya's tirade counts. He is not wrong. A large fight takes a lot of energy. The dinner photograph was a mistake. It set the tone. It made the fight seem safe, predictable, and corporate. Crawford may win, but the buzz will die if fans aren't deeply committed. There's no tension or risk, just two guys being paid. That's what De La Hoya despises. That is why he called it ludicrous. Boxing isn't like golf. Fights are sold with venom, not charity. This fight does not have it. Crawford is calm and deliberate, whereas Canelo seems quiet and uninterested. There is no heat or spark, only millions of cash passing hands. But what do you think? Please share your ideas below and subscribe for future updates.